there feels like a rule that after anyone gets deported or detained for deportation, to immediately do a story about how families connected to these individuals are feeling, how communities are in pain, they're hurting. And, certainly I look at instances like what happened in Bellingham, and I'm not gleeful. You had 37 workers at Mount Baker Roofing who were detained by ICE during an operation with other law enforcement agencies assisting because they say these 37 have been working illegally. And beyond that, had phony documentation proving that they can, in fact, work legally, which to me clears, I guess, the company of any wrongdoing. At least that's what it seems. I would question why there were no red flags, though, when no one was speaking English ever. That usually is a red flag of some kind if you've been in this country for a long time and you're here legally and you can work. But okay, fine. I'm not gleeful that people were detained, but I'm also not going to pretend that this isn't the right thing to do if, in fact, you are using fraudulent documentation to work and take jobs away from Americans, from Washingtonians. You do not have a right to a job in this state, in this country, if you are here illegally. I'm grateful that people want to actually work, right, when they're here illegally. I get that. And I would far rather have someone like that than someone who comes here and takes from government resources, take lives from doing illegal things. Don't get me wrong. But if, in fact, the allegations are true, that they were using phony documents, that is wrong. That is illegal. That we can't all just come together and acknowledge that is an indication of how far the left has gone in and out of the media. No conversations whatsoever about what this might mean beyond, well, these are people who are all good, every single one of them, and it's very horrible that they might be deported soon. So let's get Fox 13 to send Alejandra Guzman down there to do an entire story in which almost all of it on TV was in Spanish without even a translator over it. It was actually kind of weird.
Made it hard to pull audio.
Yeah, very difficult. They include clips of people speaking Spanish. No actual direct translation. They say, and she says so-and-so and so-and-so.
And then just play it.
It was very, very odd. But they did have one instance of someone at least speaking in English so we can understand the context of what it is they were saying directly. Anelia, her father and cousin were detained. And she knew this day might come at some point.
My father and my family, we had sat down to know the realization that this could happen someday. Last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, the office closed down. None of them went to work because they were suspected that ICE was going to show up. I did know that there are many people that were using false documents, but to my knowledge, all those people are hardworking.
Maybe they are. So we're supposed to just ignore the fact that they're breaking our laws, not just coming here illegally, but working here illegally, taking jobs away from folks, not paying the taxes that anybody else might be paying in a circumstance like that. Just because you're a hard worker, again, I appreciate that. And I don't even doubt that in this case. That doesn't make it right. And if you're someone who is very upset by this, then be upset at your members of Congress who are choosing not to tackle this. Right? Talk to them. Talk to them. Because we hear from Democrats who just had a whole lot of power in D.C. that it's time for immigration reform. But instead, what was their reform? Just keeping the border open, making this crisis even worse. And then when it comes home to roost, like it did in this case, scream about how much injustice just took place. They're creating this tragedy. these emotions. That's them. They're the ones, quote unquote, tearing families apart. This woman said she knew that this day might come. Well, it came. Something tells me that if you know something like this is going to come, then you know you are breaking the law, and you could do things the right way. You could choose to come here the right way. I don't disagree that we need to change the process. Seriously. But frankly, there are a lot of hard workers out there who are either American citizens or can legally work here. What about them? Do they not care about their families, taking care of their families, taking care of their community, building our economy? Do they not matter? That they might be struggling to find a job because it was taken by someone who is using paperwork to get a job that is fraudulent? Why don't those families matter? Maybe Alejandra Guzman can go, or any other reporter out there can go talk to someone in Whatcom County. It doesn't even have to be Bellingham. Go out to Ferndale. Talk to someone who can't find a job right now, or a high-paying job, or a good-paying job, or a job that they are qualified for instead of overqualified for, who have been working to get that job. Talk to them about what it feels like struggling. Because that's really what this story is about. They just don't want to talk about it from that angle because it's not emotional enough, and it doesn't take a political position. All of a sudden, Democrats are saying, oh, it's totally okay for people to work illegally, to be exploited, or to fool a business into hiring them. All of a sudden, that's okay because they think it makes Donald Trump look bad. I don't think this makes Donald Trump look bad. I don't. I feel bad for the people to a degree because I understand why someone might want to come to the United States for a better life. Maybe not Bellingham. I'm kidding. Well,
That's a cheap shot.
I said I was kidding. Kind of. I mean, I said it. It doesn't mean I meant it. My comment when I say I'm kidding is the equivalent of the documentation they provided to be able to get a job. You catch my drift?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. But the reality is, I think a lot of people, while sympathetic, also take the exact same position of they're still breaking the law. And we can't just say that's okay for these people, but not for those people. Sometimes for those people, but not for these people. You have to have consistency. You have to. Otherwise, why have laws to begin with? And why have that border to begin with? This is the reality of what this story is about, whether people want to acknowledge it or not.